Hello everyone and welcome to this recording. So in this video we are going to explain how you can insert more than 50 sectors for each country, considering that the tool has a limit capacity of exactly 50 sectors per country when you are inside the institutional banking identification module. So let me first go to the tab where you might encounter this issue. So as you know, inside the portfolio composition tab, you are asked to enter the information at the country level. For each country, you have a table, and for each table, you will need to provide the sector exposure. So for example, here you have a space for one, for the other, and so on, and you can enter up to 5 countries. Now, if you're wondering if you would like, for example, to include more than 50 sectors per country, but you cannot do so because the tool, as I said, has a limit capacity of 50 sectors, you can still find an alternative way to enter those sectors. Now, the approach that we're going to follow is basically to split the country in subgroup, which would represent broader categories of sector, and this would enable you to enter the data as if they were different countries. So let me take a concrete example. Here we are looking at Ecuador, and as I said, I wanted to include more than 50 sectors for Ecuador. And so the way I decided to proceed was to split Ecuador in 3 different subgroups, as you can see here: Ecuador agriculture, Ecuador manufacturing, and Ecuador transport. In this way, I can have the benefit of using the space of the other countries in practice to fill out more information about my sectors. And this is also a nice way to categorize your sectors by grouping them in broader categories, as in this example, agriculture, manufacturing, and transport. But in order to do that, considering that, as you know, there are different modules of the tool, and this is not the first module where you have entered your data, but that is the context module, there are some actions needed in that module as well. So I'm going to explain you how you should proceed in case you wanted to follow this approach of splitting your country into different subgroups. So let's take the other module. The first step that you will need to take is to go inside the context module. In the context module, you have several tabs, and there is one tab which is usually hidden, which is the list tab. How you can unhide it? You can just click here. The button in this case is already unhidden, so you can imagine it to be this way. So you can just click unhide, click the name list, and then unhide it. And as you can see here, you have many different columns. This is just one of the working tab of the file, so usually you don't need it. But in order to make this little tweak to the tool and enter more sector, you will need to actually use this tab as well. In the very first column of this tab, you can see a list of countries. And this is all the countries that you can select inside the tool. Now, if you go until the very end of the list, you can see that there is a gray space. You can use this gray space to type the name of your country and the different groups that you have decided to apply. So this is why here I've included Ecuador agriculture, manufacturing, and transport. Why? Because if you include these, then the tool would recognize them as countries, and automatically you will be able to select them in the different worksheets of the workflow. Once you complete this step, you can then move to your My Parameters worksheet, where is the place where you originally selected your country. And then here, where to the question to which countries you want to assess, you can make your selection and adjust it. And as you can see, if you scroll down the list until the very end, you will find precisely the countries that you have added: Ecuador agriculture, manufacturing, and transport. So what you can do is to select those in each different space so that you treat them as they were like normal countries, let's say. Of course, the tool will tell you that no, there is no availability of data in the database because it doesn't recognize Ecuador agriculture as being in practice Ecuador, but this is not a problem. So I will show you exactly how you will need to proceed. So once you make your selection, this part is pretty much done. So if you have already Here you would just need to specify whether you want to move this country also to the following model, the institutional banking identification. So you can just select yes as your normal process, and then you are done with this worksheet. Now, the other following step that you will need to do is to move to the country assessment. As you know, this tab has the entire database of countries, which data regarding statistics, policy documents, and trends for more than 100 countries. What you can do with this database is to filter by the countries that you're assessing. So in this case, what I've done is to filter Ecuador. For Ecuador, we already have data in the database, but of course, as I said, the tool would not recognize the other Ecuador that you added, so Ecuador agriculture, manufacturing, and transport, as being actual countries. So there is basically an action that is needed here in that regard, which is to first of all look at the simple Ecuador, let's say the standard one, see exactly which data have already been included in the relevant section. And as you can see here, we have data for the statistics part, but we don't have any data for policy document. As you can see, it's all gray, and here you have all NAs, and also for trends there is no data, there is all NAs. So we know that for Ecuador there is just data for the statistics. And what is needed here is basically to move this data to also the other Ecuadors, which are the ones that are not automatically recognized by the tool as being basically the same country. So you will need to do a very simple thing, which is to select those two rows, which are the ones for where the data has been already inputted and provided. So you can select all of them, copy, and then paste them in the other Ecuador. So we have here a table for Ecuador agriculture, manufacturing, and transport. And what you will need to do is to paste your data here in those two rows, where you will see them blank. In this case, you will see them filled in because I have already pasted the data, but what you will see in your respective countries is that the table will appear here all gray. So once you paste the data here, you will see that automatically the final rows will populate, and this means that the tool has understood that there is data there, and then all the other steps that will come later will be normal, let's say, as if they were different countries. For example, if you move to the country and local results, you will see all your different Ecuador with the corresponding data completed here. Ecuador agriculture, manufacturing, and transport, and same would apply to this table here as well, where you have all the data. So it's very important that you do this step here of copy pasting what's already included in your normal country, so the simple Ecuador in this case, to the countries that you added, so the different subgroups that you have created. Once this step is completed, you can move to the data out. You can copy the worksheet as you usually do to transfer data to the other module. And then you will see that when you move to this module, starting from the parameters, the tool will automatically understand that your country here is not names of different countries, but it's name of your country repeated 3 times to focus on different subgroups. So this is the approach that you should follow, because after this is done, all the other worksheet and all the other tabs will work in the same way. So you can go to the portfolio composition. You will see automatically a table for each of your subgroup that you have defined. And then in the profile country as well, you will read the name of your subgroup, like here, Ecuador agriculture, and you will see the data concerning your sectors, but also concerning your country needs, because you have done that extra step in the context module. And what this enables you is basically to go over 50 sectors, because here inside your Ecuador agriculture, you can select the agriculture sector that maybe are up to 50 subsectors. And then you will include your manufacturing sector here, and then finally your transport sectors here. So in this way, you can enter up to 150 sectors, for example. So you can use the same approach and replicate it multiple times with a maximum of 5, because as you know, there is also a limit in terms of countries, so you can enter a maximum 5 countries. And what is also nice is that if you follow this approach, you still have the possibility of having an aggregated view. So if you wonder what's the final picture for Ecuador, not just at the single groupings, what you can do, you can go to the summary tab, where you will have an overview of all the subgroups that you have defined. For example, here we have Ecuador agriculture, manufacturing and transport. You have the total association, and then here you will see the overview of inside your spider chart of the 3 subgroups combined together into one. So overview of Ecuador overall. So I hope this video was helpful. If you have any question, don't hesitate to reach out.